Imagine waking up tomorrow bursting with the kind of energy that doesn't fade after the first cup of coffee, a steady flame that keeps burning long after the morning rush is over. That power exists inside you already. Motivation isn't a lightning strike that chooses a lucky few. It is the result of thousands of small sparks you set off on purpose. When you learn how to strike those sparks at will, through thought, environment, and action, you stop waiting for inspiration and start directing it. The next 5,000 heartbeats of this video are your laboratory, because what follows is a blueprint you can live by starting today. Purpose is the oxygen of motivation. Before the world can distract you with alerts and demands, give yourself a reason to care. The moment your eyes open, ask one radical question. Why does today matter? Answer it on paper, where you can see it in ink, because the brain treats written words as commitments. Visualize the version of yourself who has already crossed the finish line. Hear the applause, feel the relief, notice the details. That image is more than a daydream. It is a neurological rehearsal that primes your mind to look for pathways instead of barriers, and pathways invite momentum. Now design a morning that fuels, rather than drains, that purpose. Start with movement, 10 push-ups, a stretch, or a brisk walk to the kitchen for water. Physical motion tells every cell that the day has begun and that it matters. Follow it with stillness. 2 minutes of mindful breathing, letting thoughts rise and fall like waves until only intention remains. Feed your body something that came from the earth, not a factory, and feed your mind something that uplifts. A paragraph from a book that challenges you, a podcast that teaches you, or silence filled with gratitude for the simple fact that you woke up. Big dreams are heavy until you break them into pocket-sized pieces. Take the goal that scares you most and slice it into actions so small they feel almost silly. Write 1 page, not a novel. Save $10, not a fortune. Send 1 networking message, not 100. Each tiny victory releases dopamine, the brain's built-in reward chemical, turning progress into pleasure. String enough of these moments together, and you build a chain you won't want to break. Consistency beats intensity every time, because motivation fed daily becomes discipline, and discipline makes motivation effortless, because it removes decision fatigue. Energy is a resource you create, not one you find. Every 90 minutes, stand up, roll your shoulders, breathe deep, walk to the window, and let natural light hit your retinas. These micro breaks reset cortisol levels and sharpen focus. Pair them with music that lifts your heartbeat. Rhythm can synchronize with neural patterns, nudging your mood upward in under a minute. When the slump hits, don't negotiate with it. Change your physiology first and your psychology will follow. Pictures are instructions for the subconscious. Close your eyes and see the moment you hit a milestone. The email confirming the promotion, the finish line banner of a marathon, the passport stamp of a dream city. Make the image vivid. Colors, sounds, scents. Neuroscientists call this mental contrasting, and it lights up the same motor pathways you'll use in real action. The mind rehearses, the body remembers, and motivation becomes muscle memory. Guard the gate to your atmosphere. Curate the voices that enter your ears and the faces that fill your feed. Spend time with people who point out horizons, not ceilings. If your environment is cramped, rearrange a corner, a clean desk, a plant, a quote on the wall. Soundtrack your work with playlists engineered for focus. Delete the apps that shout but never serve. When the space around you celebrates growth, your mind follows suit. Celebrate, deliberately and often. When you complete a micro goal, mark the moment. A 5-minute walk outside, a favorite snack, a simple, "I did it," whispered with pride. Rewards are not childish. They are psychological scaffolding. They teach the brain that effort leads to joy, and they form a feedback loop that sustains momentum on days when willpower runs low. There will be mornings when purpose feels distant and the bed feels magnetic. On those days, zoom out. Remember the life you are building, not just the task you are dreading. Say aloud one benefit of finishing what you start. Then count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move before the mind argues. Action first, emotion later. Motion awakens motivation the way flint awakens fire. Setbacks are data, not verdicts. If a plan collapses, write down what collapsed and why. Adjust the strategy, not the destination. Thomas Edison called his failed experiments ways that won't work, and each one removed uncertainty. When you treat mistakes as mentors, fear loses its leverage. Resilience is simply motivation that has met resistance and kept walking. Habits are the autopilot of achievement. Build them one cue at a time. Place the journal on the pillow so you must reflect before sleep. Lay out gym clothes where your feet will land in the morning. Schedule blocks on your calendar labeled with the single next action. The less you rely on memory or mood, the more progress becomes inevitable. Discipline is freedom dressed in routines. Train the mind to prefer long-term reward over short-term comfort. Each time you postpone an indulgence, scrolling, snacking, snoozing, note the surge of strength you feel. That sensation is self-trust growing. Couple it with affirmations stated in the present tense. I act with purpose. I finish what I start. Language programs. Expectation and expectation guides behavior. Track what you treasure. Use a journal, an app, or a sheet of paper taped to the fridge. Record the minutes read, the dollars saved, the kilometers run. Visual data turns the abstract into the tangible. And seeing the line climb is often motivation enough to lace up your shoes or open your laptop one more time. Connect with a community that mirrors your ambitions. Share goals publicly to harness the power of social accountability, or find an action partner and exchange daily check-ins. Human beings are wired for belonging, and a shared mission amplifies drive. Let others inspire you, and in return become evidence for them that consistency works. Everything you desire moves at the speed of consistency. A single swing rarely splits a boulder, but 1,000 swings carve a sculpture. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Create progress under the conditions you have. Show up on the days you feel unstoppable and on the days you feel invisible. The clock will keep ticking either way. Decide that each tick will carry you forward. The engine of self-motivation lives where responsibility meets possibility. Own your time, own your choices, own the narrative you tell about who you are becoming. See yourself as the author, not the audience of your story. When ownership is non-negotiable, excuses lose their currency and momentum becomes natural law. So here is the promise you make to yourself before this video ends. Tomorrow when the alarm sings, you rise with purpose. You move, you breathe, you write down the mission. You attack one small piece of a giant dream. You reward the victory. You repeat. Do this for a week and you will notice a shift. Do it for a month and others will notice the glow. Do it for a year, and the life you once imagined will be the life you wake up to. The spark is in your hands now. Strike it, and keep striking, until the entire landscape of your goals is lit. The entire night sky is lit by the constellation of habits you have placed there. Rest is not the enemy of drive. It is the refueling station that keeps the engine from tearing itself apart. Plan recovery the same way you plan effort. Schedule 7-hour sleeping windows with the seriousness of board meetings. Guard them from the thieves of blue light and late-night worry. Every hour of deep sleep restores hormonal balance, repairs memory, and hands you back the willpower that frayed during the day. Rest strategically and motivation returns wearing fresh armor. Variety is the spice that keeps the palate of your mind eager. When a task becomes mechanical, shift the context. Write in a park instead of at the desk. Solve problems on paper instead of a screen. Turn a solo chore into a timed challenge with a friend. Novelty releases dopamine just like progress does, and pairing the two turns mundane maintenance into a game. And when the next doubt creeps in, because it will, treat it as a signal, not a stop sign. Doubt is simply the brain asking for evidence. Provide it immediately by acting, however small the gesture. Each answered doubt becomes another layer of confidence, and confidence is motivation's favorite companion. You are now equipped with the match, the kindling, and the oxygen. Strike, breathe, and watch the fire grow.